And a coward is going to just keep putting another Band-Aid on, which is another relationship, and another one, which is another relationship, and or medicine, which could be whiskey, weed, whatever, right? Every drug, prescription or recreational, is medicine. It's either healing something or numbing it. And if you're numbing it, it's only getting worse. That's cowardly. The warrior welcomes pain as an ally. Pain is there to teach us.
Here we are, another episode of the Ignite the King podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Dion, partner in crime, Russell Reynolds. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You dropped the G, man. There's no more G Russell Reynolds, just Russell Reynolds, which I'm good. People call me George. People call me Russell. People call me Russ. People call me G Money. I'm like, whatever, bro. It's all good.
I like to change it up.
I like it. That's a very cool hoodie you're wearing there. I appreciate your patronage. Master of Defense System. Fred
it's actually a very comfortable hoodie, and I'm grateful that the weather in Texas has changed enough I could actually really enjoy it. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep riffing on the MDS from I remember a couple episodes ago, but it's definitely been sticking with me. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I'll actually use the MDS as a segue because at the MDS seminar with Fred Mastro, you were one of the people who was quick to raise your hand and volunteer to be demoed on to feel the MDS technique from Fred Mastro himself. So you were not operating as a coward. And that's what this episode is about.
And
anybody
that's what this episode is
ever
about.
feel like a coward? Anybody ever have that voice in your head going, you little bitch? Whatever it may be, we're going to face it in this episode right here and now.
I knew you were going to do that. And I'm glad you did because, in a deeper level, stepping into that kind of vulnerability and pain is something I would have avoided a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And definitely I've learned to call myself forward, to be exposed, so to speak. And this is where we're going to really get into this coward energy, this just indecisiveness, this no boundaries, this part of a man where it's like, just don't have the energy to even stand up for yourself or others or anything, really. And we're living in a culture right now where you better stand for something. Whatever that is, you better fucking stand for something because you will get plowed over if you don't stand for anything, and you will fall for everything. This coward energy, and we see it in the media, we see it in politics, we see it in people in positions of power all the time, where the coward becomes the tyrant becomes the coward, and we must stomp this energy out because the passive aggressiveness, the no boundaries, the ambivalent about self-worth, is just not something that's sexy. It's not something that's hot, and men need to stomp this out.
Right.
So I have a few things to say on this.
Yeah, because the coward will inevitably, feeling so disempowered, will inevitably seek to have power over something or someone, and it's usually someone who is lesser, whether it's a woman or a child. So you may not feel emboldened or courageous enough to face another man in combat or even in argument, but you'll get in the face of a woman or a child or try to domineer somebody that you think is less than because it's a safe choice. That's some
or behind
bullshit.
a keyboard.
Or behind, yes, the keyboard warriors. I know them well. Welcome, brethren. I've gotten my fair share of haters from the keyboard warriors. And it's just so ridiculous. Guys, look, here's the thing. I said it about, we did an episode about the workaholic and how it gets into so much focus on what you're getting instead of what you're giving. And the same is true of the coward. The coward is afraid for himself more than for anybody else. We talked about when we formed Ignite the King, we wanted physical fitness and combatives to be a part of it because the warrior is not just some mental concept. It's an embodiment. And if your woman doesn't feel safe walking next to you down the street because you couldn't, or even worse, wouldn't protect her if the need arose, you're a fucking coward. If you saw a child being physically abused or kidnapped and walked by, you're a fucking coward. And I have no stomach for that. Right? The people who will just turn a blind eye to child trafficking or abuse or the abuse of women. Again, we've seen it where a woman is getting mugged and guys just walk by. What is that? How do you call yourself a man? And
Or
it
they're
may
the
not.
ones filming it.
Yeah, like you're the guy holding the phone. Really?
Yeah.
So it becomes about what's the mission? What are your values? What do you stand for that is so much greater than your fear of consequences to yourself? Fear of death, fear of pain. Come on. And I get it because I've been it in the past. Remember, I was scrawny, got beat up all the time. I was a coward when I was a child because I didn't know any better. You know, when I had stepbrothers that would beat me up every time my dad would leave, and I tried to tell my dad about it. I'm like 5 at this point. And he's like, well, be a man, do something. I'm like, I'm fucking 5. You be a man.
Right. You be the
You
man.
do something about it to protect me. And he didn't. And at that point, now, again, no disrespect to my father. He's an amazing man. I love him. But at that point, I was just like, what the hell? And I was stuck in that less than coward energy, but I had to step up. I had to make that shift. So is the cowardice showing up in setting your boundaries with your boss? Is it in how your communication with your woman? Is it in actually choosing discipline over comfort? You're a fat ass because you choose the donuts over the gym? What is it? Where are you being a coward in your life that you need to step up, rise up, and choose the path of the warrior?
Oh, love that. I want to bring in another perspective here.
Please.
Around this coward energy, and it might be a bit of a flip of the script, but one of the most coward things is the lack of vulnerability in men. And one thing we often hear from the feminine or the wives or the girlfriends is about how men don't open up, how men don't share, how men keep things under wraps, suppressed, and unfortunately, always it'll blow up in a fit of rage later on as that shadow warrior energy flips. But being a coward is about not wanting to address your feelings, not wanting to go there, not wanting, it's never the time, or wanting to expose the wound or talk about it or go to those places that you can really only go with that most intimate person in your life and just remain shut down. So this vulnerability and it takes courage. It really takes courage to be vulnerable, to be open-hearted, to share those deeper parts of yourself. And as we talk about often, one of the key attributes of the warrior is courage, is willing to step in the face of that fear and do it anyway, whether that fear is a physical danger, whether that fear is of emotional intensity and having to stay in the storm of maybe a heated conversation, an argument, or interaction, maybe with your significant other or in business or whatever it may be, and to have the courage to be vulnerable. How many times in our immersive events have men trusted other men more because of them sharing vulnerably, because they shared the thing they dared not to tell anyone, and they finally felt free enough, safe enough, judgment free enough to share the truth of who they are, and then other men could relax around them because they knew they weren't withholding anymore. They had the courage to step into that fear. They had the courage to face that thing that was like the scary boogeyman under the bed that they just didn't want to face anymore. And finally, they had the courage to step forward. So vulnerability being a huge aspect of the sacred third warrior that really the coward is unwilling to open up. And I know the word coward in and of itself can be a very triggering word for some men. Like, don't call me a coward. I'm not a coward. I'm not a pussy. I'm not a chicken. I'm not whatever. And it's like, well, just at the core epitome of the energy, look at where are you not allowing yourself to open up? Where are you not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to be seen, that you've put a shell of protection, a mask of protection on for years at times? So this is another aspect that I think is really important to this energy.
Absolutely another aspect, and really good point, because it's not just about combat or physical pain, like you said. It's about facing your fears, right? And the coward's that unwilling to do that. We were speaking to a man recently, and the acronyms for fear are false evidence appearing real. The other one is fuck everything and run. That's the coward's way. And then the warrior's way is face everything and rise. Rise up. Right? And maybe it is a question of emotional vulnerability. Do you have the courage to say to your woman, if this is the case, I'm not happy? Because it's going to cause the conversation and be the catalyst for change, good or bad, either transforming the relationship or ending it. But you don't have the courage to say it because it's comfortably uncomfortable to just stay here in this energy neutral. I'm just, basically getting by energy, right? Settling. That's not the way, right? That's cowardly. It's not telling the boss, hey, look, I'm not going to work overtime. I'm not going to work weekends. I told my child I would be at this game and I'm going to fucking be there respectfully. That's courage. If it's, I've been carrying these wounds, these emotional wounds since my childhood that are fucking up every relationship that I attempt to create on an intimate scale, and I got some work to do. That takes courage. And a coward is going to just keep putting another Band-Aid on, which is another relationship, and another one, which is another relationship, and or medicine, which could be whiskey, weed, whatever, right? Every drug's prescription or recreational is medicine. It's either healing something or numbing it. And if you're numbing it, it's only getting worse. That's cowardly. The warrior welcomes pain as an ally. Pain is there to teach us. So facing fears, embracing pain, right? Because when we look at it in the big picture, what's going to be more painful? Making this change, facing this thing, or going another 10 years in this prison that you've created in your own heart and your own mind because you didn't have the courage to face it. Right? We're not, if we're triggering anybody by using the word coward, good. That's the plan. Right. That's the intention. We want to trigger you because we want to give you the tools and the awareness that you need to transform your life for the better.
Love that. And if it is triggering, like you said, good. This is, I know in my life, taking ownership of this energy has been huge. And one of the hallmarks of the coward energy is this passive aggressive behavior, these sideways attacks, using your power in a way that's not head on, right? It's not honoring to the person. And, we see that often in business. We see that often in infidelity in relationships. And there's just sneaking around and there's just all this unsaid energy that really isn't serving the higher purpose of the mission, right? It's all this extra energy going on around that isn't actually serving the purpose of why you're here. And as we mentioned a couple times already, when that coward energy gets stimulated, and one of the hallmarks again is getting easily pushed around. The coward is easily pushed around. And when he gets pushed around enough, again, he will snap back. And
that's when the coward becomes the bully.
Becomes the bully, becomes the tyrant, and will just plow over and not give a shit and destroy everything that's been created in a moment, relationships, whatever it may be.
What was there's a movie, Falling Down. It was an old movie with Michael Douglas where he got pushed around and pushed around. Yeah, old movie. But he got pushed around and pushed around and pushed around and finally snapped, grabbed a gun. And at the end of the movie, when the cops are like have him at gunpoint, he's like, I'm the bad guy? How did I become the bad guy?
Right.
Because he had lived his life as a coward. And when he finally snapped, if he just made these small changes before it got to that breaking point, might have been different. So, men, where is it that you are dealing with this coward energy in your life where you know there's something you need to face that you're hiding from? Maybe it's in your finances. Maybe it's in your job. Maybe it's in your health. Maybe it's in your relationship. But to continue hiding it from it, stick your head in the sand like a freaking ostrich, That's the act of a coward. And it's
Mhm.
never going to end well.
And the
Because,
worry and the anxiety that builds from that,
right.
of things that have never happened and probably won't, the cost on the human body and the health of a human and a
Psyche.
man.
Yeah.
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 When we were children, we would pull the blanket over our head because if we can't see the threat, then it can't
didn't
see us.
exist.
Well, it never
Right.
worked. It's all bullshit. The
Right.
monsters don't go away when you pull a blanket
Right.
over your head.
Damn it.
I know. If it were
I'd like
only
to point
so
out
easy.
I'd like to point out in that movie that what broke him ultimately and was the straw that broke the camel's back was Los Angeles traffic. I just want to point that out. That
I'm still living here. I deal with it.
it'll break a man or two, won't it?
Yeah. I'm just like, don't be the guy in the movie. Don't be the guy in the movie.
If they had just given him his breakfast, it would have been fine.
Right.
I love after all of it, he's like, you know what? I do want lunch, actually. So if you haven't seen that movie, I'm glad you brought that reference up because that is the quintessential coward energy shadow flipping to the bully.
Mhm.
I think that there is. So we got to dial into that movie a little more. Thank you for that reminder.
Well, and the catch of it, right, is that he felt like he was taking his power finally.
Right.
Well, the problem is the only person who really was taking his power from him was himself and the choices he were making, the lack of boundaries that he had in his life. And when he chose to take his power, he was trying to take it from others or have power over others. Right. The boundaries were way overblown at that point. So men, we have an opportunity to make a change in our lives early. I'm not saying that you should go get in a bar fight so that you can prove to yourself you're not a coward. You don't like the only person that you're really in conflict or combat with is yourself.
Yeah.
In this example. So look at this honestly. Where is this coward energy showing up in my life? Maybe it's, I'm not dealing with my finances. Again, there's a number of examples. Maybe I've not had that fucking hard conversation with my significant other that I need to have. Because I know it's going to be ripping the lid off of this that we should have dealt with a long time ago. Deal with it.
Or a health concern.
Right.
And getting something checked out that you've been avoiding and knowing you need to do it. Yeah.
Avoidant energy is coward energy.
So I wanted to thread on this movie thing a little more because I think it brings up a lot of important points around the energetic of the coward. Because when you looked at Michael Douglas in that film, he's got the classic short sleeve button down white shirt with the pen protector and he's got the buzz cut with the 1960s glasses, and all that, the nerd look. Right. So he's appearing in film as a coward. Right. Like that's very obvious. And I just wanted to bring up because, we talk about energy here. We talk about things that you can't see. Right. And we talk about how energy precedes the form. And we talk about in self-defense, like you can feel when someone's a coward. You've drilled this into me. You're also, the first of all, the attackers are cowards themselves, but they attack other cowards, the weak, the sick, the old, right? The people that can't protect themselves. They're not going to attack the alpha. And part of that, it's an energetic. It's a way you walk, a talk, hold yourself, the energy you carry, energy precedes the form. And, again, in the movie, it's obvious in him because we know he's the protagonist and all of that. But the energy he carries is one of being picked on. Like when he runs through that part of town when the Mexican gang comes and confronts him and won't let him through. And, he finally comes into some of his power there. But why? Because he looked a certain way and he was holding himself a certain way. And how many men out there are running this coward energy, scared to address, and you gave good examples of different parts of your life. How many men are just walking around timid, afraid, unable to make decisions, to lead, right? How much of the feminine just wants to be led? They don't want to make the decisions. They want you to know what you're talking about. They want you to step into your power, right? And lead the energy. And how many men are just embodying and sort of off-gassing this energy of cowardice or lack of confidence?
Yeah, here's a great litmus test. How long are you willing to hold eye contact with somebody, with another man? Do you
I'm
make
just looking
eye
at the green
contact?
dot,
What's that?
right? I'm just looking at the green dot.
Yeah, not you. No, yeah, we're looking at the green dot showing where the camera is, so we're not looking down at each other on the screen the whole time. For those of you that are seeing the video, but yeah, I've met people. First of all, the dead fish limp wrist handshake is repulsive. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Squeeze somebody and don't be the guy. Sorry, I'm gonna go on a rant here.
Here we go.
Don't be the early squeezer. Don't be that fucking guy who squeezes somebody's fingertips before you meet thumb to thumb. I can't. Nobody likes that. It just says I'm a dick right out of the gate. Don't be that guy. Don't do that. Conversely, don't offer a limp hand like they're shaking the hand of a corpse, right? And make eye contact when you shake somebody's hand. Make eye contact when you're speaking to somebody. If somebody can't hold eye contact with me for longer than 5 seconds, we've got a problem. I do not trust that person. That's cowardly energy. And the coward doesn't face a problem head on. He'll stab somebody in the back. So that's a very dangerous person.
Right.
Be confident in who you are. Carry yourself with the countenance of a king, of a warrior. Show up, step up in every aspect in your life. That's a part of your DNA. The king, the warrior is part of every man. It's embedded. It may be asleep. Wake it the fuck up.
Let's how would you suggest men to develop that courage? You know, we talk about, and you've talked courage, French, right, of the heart, and
right,
which ultimately is being vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. So I see vulnerability being a huge sort of tactic of courage. So I'm curious what else you would say on that.
You know, we've addressed our AAA, which is not roadside assistance, but awareness, acknowledgement, and action. You know, something we preach and ignite. We have to have awareness that there's a problem in the first place, acknowledge the effect it's had on our lives and others, and then the action to do something about it. So I would start there. First of all, have the awareness. Is this coward energy showing up in any aspect of your life? And if so, acknowledge that. Acknowledge how it makes you feel. Acknowledge the impact it's had on your life and the lives of people that know you, love you, and are around you. And then you can choose to do something about it. Maybe it's joining a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. Maybe it's finding a Krav Maga, MDS, whatever you can, Muay Thai, maybe boxing. You know, maybe it's joining some kind of martial arts class. And you know, I was talking to some pro boxers when we were in Boston, and I'm like, what's the antidote for somebody who's afraid to get punched in the face? And the answer is getting punched in the face.
Right.
Right? Face the fear. Face everything and rise. That's the acronym for fear. So, and if you're horribly out of shape, if you can't stand looking at yourself in the mirror naked, do something about it. Get your ass in a gym. Go for a walk around the block after every meal. Do something. Just start taking action and affirm to yourself that you are that warrior. Affirm to yourself that you are capable of so much more than you've been settling for. All right? Go watch Braveheart, 300, boxing movies,
Gladiator.
Fight Club, what Gladiator, yeah, all of them. Go on a testosterone movie binge. And by the way,
it'll be in the show notes.
By the way, little plug for Opt Health is check your testosterone level, man.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
There's unfortunately an agenda out there. I'm not going to put the tinfoil out on for too long, but testosterone levels in men are dropping rapidly. And I don't have it exactly right. So if anybody wants to be a hater in the comments, knock yourself out. I don't care. But it's something like the testosterone level of a 20-year-old man today was the equivalent of a 60-year-old man in the year 2000 or 1990 or something like that. That's how fast testosterone levels are dropping with all of the toxins in our air, in our water, in our food.
Yeah, the microplastics, the endocrine disruptors.
So guys,
even
get your
even
blood
the
work
fucking
done.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Those receipts, man, those thermal receipts.
Oh yeah, when you get a receipt
the
at the grocery
worst.
store, do not grab it with your hand because they have more
No.
BPA's in them than a plastic bottle,
Yeah.
and you're absorbing it
Yeah.
directly into your skin.
Yeah, so much poison out there that is massively affecting both men and women's hormonal health, and it is disgusting, frankly,
Yeah.
what's being done out there. And yeah, a shout out to Opt Health, men's optimization company. Talk to them, talk to these other companies that will get you tested, get your blood work done, find out where you're at. Have the courage to face the numbers, because then when you know the numbers, you can know what to do about it like a fucking warrior.
Right.
You can take action with very specific outcomes, very specific goals, and get your health back. Get yourselves out of that pre-diabetic state. We are in a crisis, to say the least, when it comes to men's health. So, all the examples you gave, Russell, around whether it's looking at your finances or having that tough conversation in your relationship or looking at an aspect of your health that you've been scared to look at, have the courage to take a look. And then you'll know what to do.
Right.
Absolutely.
And GETOPT, getopt.com is the website if you want to check them out. Tell them that you heard about it on Ignite the King. They may do something special for you. But just quick plug on that. And even if you don't want to take exogenous testosterone, there are things that you can do to improve your diet and your lifestyle that will naturally increase your testosterone.
And
look into that.
supplementation. Absolutely.
Right? Because it's a true fact, man. It's part of what makes us a man.
Well, a lot of that coward energy is about not having enough energy. Talked about energy neutral earlier, and so much of it is men feel, again, overworked, overwhelmed, stressed, and their libido's to shit. Their dick is limp, and they have no energy to play with their kids. And they're fat and overweight. They don't like you said, look how they look in the mirror. And at some point, you have to say enough of this.
Yeah,
and say, I'm going to do something different. And so there's a lot of resources out there now for this kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. If you got a Peter do, you're stuck in coward energy. And I've had people say, what's a Peter do? Sure. When your belly sticks out further than your Peter do, you got a problem.
Yep. Oh.
So, guys, take charge of your life. Take charge of your health. Take charge of your energy and how you're showing up as a man. By the way, if you have children, you are the blueprint for what it means to be a man.
Yep.
To those children. If you're overweight and lazy and cowardly and avoidant, guess what your kids are learning?
Yep.
To be the same thing. So take charge, take responsibility, awareness, acknowledgement, action, and face your fears. FEAR, face everything and rise.
Love it.
It's up to you.
Beautiful work, brother. Great call. Great call. Great episode. I'm so used to saying that. Powerful stuff. This is what we're calling forward in the men. I feel the energy building. This feels good. Thank you for sharing today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, bro.
All right. Like, subscribe, share this episode far and wide. Thank you, brothers. Have a great day.
We'll see you on the next one.